Welcome to Tales of Honor, a podcast with a mission to tell the true stories of every recipient of our nation's highest military award, the Medal of Honor. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Tales of Honor podcast. This is episode number 472. I'm your host, Christoph Ambrosch, and today is going to be a longer one. It's always a balance with some of these stories. Some of them, especially the older recipients, you might get just a little bit, and some of them you might get a plethora. So it's a constant back and forth. This one, I was actually able to find quite a bit of information, so it works out in all of our favors. A couple things to go over on the business side of the house before we get into it today. I guess we'll start with today's show sponsor, who is on for the entire month of December as well as he has in the past. And that is, of course, Motor City Munitions. A big thank you to Jeff over at Motor City Munitions for stepping up once again to help support the show. He's a very smart guy. He's so smart for sponsoring the show because, well, it shows he has good taste in podcasts, but also he's smart because he knows that our founding fathers knew the importance of what could happen when tyrannical government decides to overstep their bounds, which we're seeing all over the world. And it shows why it's so important that the Second Amendment was penned way back when, and this is why Jeff offers a variety of tools and supplies that will allow you to be prepared not only for target practice and hunting season, but also for personal protection as well. Head on over to MotorCityMunitions.com for more information and to see a wide selection of firearms, optics, suppressors, and even archery supplies. I myself have taken advantage of his website a time or two, once for ammo and once for my everyday carry, 6-hour P365X, and I've already contacted him for a magnifier for a rifle of mine. So if I can do it, you can too. When you do go over there, you can use the promo code Tales of Honor for 5% off your online order today. This is all your firearm-related needs with service so fast it can only come from the Motor City. So a big thank you to Jeff once again. Now, it actually worked out really well that today was going to be the ad read for the month. And I say this because while I don't do this podcast for any sort of profit, fame, glory, or anything like that, specifically the profit, I donate half of all profits directly to the National Medal of Honor Museum, and everything else, well, it's not very much, goes to simply keep the costs of the show going, whether it's hosting via Liberated Syndication or whether it is my website hosting fees. In addition to this, sometimes there are websites that put their information behind paywalls. Tonight's story is one of those such stories that I had to do research, and I could have done a very abbreviated version of his story, which wouldn't have done it justice, especially now that I know what I know. And the U.S. Naval Institute put out a great piece about him, but behind a paywall. So I had to buy, and I'm only able to do this through contributions from Jeff over at Motor City Munitions, through his sponsorship, and through anybody else who takes advantage of the merchandise that can be purchased over on the website. You can go down halfway on the main page there. There's a merch section. It'll bring you over to my Teespring store, and you can buy things such as Tri-Blend t-shirts, premium hoodies. I even got myself a nice coffee mug on there and some stickers. Very basic stuff, but every little bit helps keep the lights on over here. I can't do it for free, and since I'm not really raking in the dough to do this podcast, which I have no intentions of doing, every little bit helps to keep this going. So to all of you who have contributed over the years, and to Jeff over at Motor City Munitions, a big thank you for helping keep things on the air and making it so that I can bring you awesome stories like tonight's story, which is going to be a good one. Moving on, I have one birthday to go over today and one piece of news. So we'll start with the birthday. It was yesterday, December 14th, 1944, and this story belongs to Mr. Drew Dix. Mr. Dix is a former U.S. Army major that earned the Medal of Honor for his actions during the Vietnam War. So a very happy 77th birthday to Mr. Drew Dix. So my birthday I have for today, and actually for we'll have one on Sunday that we'll go over, and we'll go from there. Next up is a piece of business, and it is some good news. It was announced on the 10th of December that there are going to be some new Medal of Honor recipients added to the list. I will actually read you the official statement from the White House. It reads, on December 16th, 2021, President Joseph R. Biden Jr. will award the Medal of Honor to Sergeant First Class Alwyn C. Cash, United States Army, Sergeant First Class Christopher A. Solis, United States Army, and Master Sergeant Earl D. Plumley, United States Army, for conspicuous gallantry. Sergeant First Class Alwyn C. Cash will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for his acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving as platoon sergeant with Company A, 1st Battalion, 15th Infantry Regiment, 3rd Brigade, 3rd Infantry Division in Salah ad-Din Province, Iraq on 17 October 2005 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. I will skip ahead here because it's going to read the citation and details. We'll save that for a later date. We'll move right along here. Sergeant First Class Christopher A. Solis will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously for his acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty while serving as the leader of a Special Operations Unit comprised of partnered forces and members of the 1st Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment on July 12, 2018 in support of Operation Freedom's Sentinel in Afghanistan. Skipping along to the last one here, Master Sergeant Earl D. Plumley will receive the Medal of Honor for his acts of gallantry and intrepidity above and beyond the call of duty on August 28, 2013 while serving as a Weapons Sergeant, C Company, 4th Battalion, 1st Special Forces Group Airborne in support of Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. And that's pretty much the end of the statement. They have some other details there, but those are the 3 members that will be awarded, and that is coming up tomorrow, December 16th. Keep an eye on my Facebook page. I like to, whenever they usually do a live video on YouTube, and I try to link it over there. So if you want to watch that either while it's happening or later on once it's been done, you can go check that out there. So we'll have some more work for me to do, but it's especially Alwyn Cash. It's good to see him finally getting recognized. I know there's been a big push for him to get it for a very long time, and it's good to see it finally happening. Thanks to many members of Congress. And I think that's all I have. I think I've covered everything here. I think I covered the news, I covered the birthday, covered the sponsor. So the only thing I haven't covered is the story. So let's do it. Let's move right on into episode number 472. John was born on the 2nd of November, 1880 in New York City, and he attended the Berkeley School, where he graduated in 1900. He did receive a nomination to the U.S. Military Academy, but he failed the entrance exam, and since his father had recently died, John's pursuit of higher education came to a halt. John enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps on the 7th of November, 1900, and little over a year later was promoted to corporal, and after a year and a half of service became a sergeant. The U.S. Navy was expanding and in need of officers, so on the 21st of December, 1901, John received a commission to second lieutenant and deployed to the Philippines after receiving some brief training in Boston. It was during this deployment that John received the nickname of Johnny the Hard, due to behavior that would be described as unbecoming of an officer. Drunken behavior, abusive language, and waking up other officers at 0300 while again drunk. His battalion commander wrote the following in his fitness report. I heard him as an officer whose intelligence, initiative, and control of men are above average and possessing to a large degree snap and vim, a driver, but somewhat reckless and careless in matters other than of a military character, and with a disposition towards boisterousness not to my entire approval. If he overcomes this tendency, I think he would make a particularly efficient officer. John was promoted to first lieutenant despite this behavior, and became known throughout the brigade for his language and for sometimes getting into fistfights with both enlisted and officers. Back in the States, he served as the assistant quartermaster at the Marine Barracks in Boston, as well as the acting commissary officer before being assigned to the USS Minneapolis and then deploying to Cuba with the 1st Provisional Regiment. In 1908, John was promoted to captain despite continued negative fitness reports before deploying to Guantanamo Bay on board the USS Hancock and Buffalo. This deployment brought his behavior to the attention of the Secretary of the Navy, and 2 months later, John received a 5-day punishment for, quote, assumption of authority and insubordination. The next month, John went AWOL, absent without leave, and received another 5-day punishment, and in April of 1912, he was confined to his quarters for getting into a fistfight with another officer. John's behavior had gotten to be such an issue that his commanding officer, Major Smedley Butler, yes, 2-time Medal of Honor recipient Smedley Butler, requested that he be arrested and taken home or discharged from the service, calling him a, quote, menace to welfare command. This request not only went to Major General Commandant William Biddle, but also to Smedley's father, who was a senior Republican member of the House Naval Affairs Committee, and finally to the Secretary of the Navy. The request was shot down because the accusations had been skewed to make John look worse. After Cuba, John was sent to Portsmouth, Rhode Island on restriction, and then prepared for fleet maneuvers in Philadelphia Navy Yard. These maneuvers took place off the coast of New Orleans in November of 1913 as a test for deployments to Mexico due to the worsening relations with the country. They then anchored off Culebra, Puerto Rico, for 2 weeks before heading to Mexico. It was John's actions there with the 15th Company, 2nd Provisional Regiment that would later earn him the Medal of Honor. The citation reads, "For distinguished conduct in battle, engagements of Veracruz, 21-22 April, 1914. Captain Hughes was in both days fighting at the head of his company and was eminent and conspicuous in his conduct, leading his men with skill and courage." Now, I am on a mission to tell the story of every single Medal of Honor recipient, regardless of their actions, lifestyle, branch, or rank. When researching this story, it was the first time I had come across the information I'm about to tell you, so it is worth mentioning. At the time of this conflict, legislation allowed for enlisted Army and Navy members to include Marines, as well as Army officers to receive the Medal of Honor. Navy and Marine officers weren't included in this legislation until the Mexican campaign. Congress amended the legislation, and the Department of the Navy took this opportunity to highlight its Navy and Marine officers that participated in the campaign. 28 naval officers, 18 enlisted Navy, and 9 Marine officers received the Medal of Honor. Not one enlisted Marine received the medal, and this brought Smedley Butler to argue to have the awards withdrawn, to include his own, stating that nothing in his citation warranted the recognition. The Navy dismissed his concerns, and while I am not trying to take away the award from those that received it, it may offer an explanation to those that have wondered why the citations are short or vague and why so many received it. John received orders once again to report to Portsmouth, and another fitness report stated that he was not fit to be a post commander due to his temperament. Despite this, he was put in command of a Marine detachment on board the USS Delaware that deployed to the Dominican Republic in response to civil unrest. When John was up for promotion to major, his history was brought up again. After 15 years of service, he had a thick case against him for his behavior, and it was unclear how the Secretary of the Navy became involved with the promotion of a captain. Major General Commandant George Barnett went to bat for John, especially when he received a telegram stating that John had been shot in the left leg while deployed. This wound fractured his femur and caused severe nerve and tissue damage, and since Secretary Daniels had been in favor of rewarding those that had seen combat, John's promotion to major took place on the 16th of March, 1917. It came with a warning from Daniels, however, that John was fully expected to never be charged with drunkenness or harshness to his subordinates again. John recovered from his wounds and then worked at the Advanced Base Force at Philadelphia until the declaration of war on Germany in April of 1917. He transferred to Quantico in preparation to deploy to France. At the time, Brigadier General John Lejeune had basically promised Major Smedley Butler a brigade command position with the American Expeditionary Forces, but when the number of troops were reduced, Major General Commandant George Barnett turned down the suggestion of Butler, and Lejeune then recommended John for the command of an infantry battalion. John took command of 1st Battalion, 6th Marines, and they deployed from Quantico to France on the 23rd of September, 1917. In May of 1918, John and his battalion dug into Bella Wood and were instructed to hold their position at all costs. This battle would have the brigade suffer from a 50% casualty rate, one of the worst in Marine Corps history. For his actions during this battle, John received the Navy Cross and Silver Star, in addition to having his lungs burned with poison gas and later being blown up in the command bunker by an enemy shell. His old leg wound had started to open up and limit his movement, and when superiors tried to relieve him and order him home, he was observed asking for a pair of wire cutters and cutting off a piece of bone that was protruding from his leg. John was promoted to lieutenant colonel in August and went on to earn another Silver Star and 2 Croix de Guerre for his actions during the war. Colonel Hiram Bears, a Medal of Honor recipient from 1901, had sent a recommendation for a second Medal of Honor to Commandant Barnett, speaking very highly of John. This recommendation was returned, and Bears was told that it should have been sent through the proper chain of command, and now too much time had passed, therefore making John ineligible for the award. He returned home to the States to recover, and France would be the last combat and service that John would see. He was medically retired on the 3rd of July, 1919, after 18 and a half years of service at the rank of colonel. John joined his brothers and worked for the Hughes Trading Company in Manhattan, and later moved to Cleveland, Ohio, to work as a salesman for Mack Trucking. He also became the first director of the Ohio Liquor Control Department in 1933, but his war injuries would catch up with him, forcing him to retire to Florida. John Arthur Hughes, also known as Johnny the Hard, died on the 25th of May, 1942, at the age of 61. He is buried in Arlington National Cemetery, Section 8, Lot 5265. And that was a Tale of Honor. Thank you for listening to Tales of Honor, and if you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe and tell your friends and family. Tales of Honor is written and produced by Christoph Ambrosch, and theme music is Loyalty and Duty by Floruz Music. If you have any questions, you can send an email to talesofhonorpodcast@gmail.com, and please be sure to visit talesofhonorpodcast.com for more episodes and information.